welcome to App Promotion Summit Berlin 2021 online edition day 2. We are talking user acquisition today. Very excited to be here with Mate, who I think we connected. He did a really good Medium post or pushed out something that I thought was great, and we reached out to him. We were hoping to get him to Berlin, but he's in lockdown in Slovakia.
Yeah.
So, but we are very delighted to have him here online. And I'm going to hand you over to him now. A few things to note. If you want to ask a question during the session, just hit the questions tab and leave your question there. We'll have a bit of time for Q&A at the end. Let us know if you can see the stream okay. You might have had to refresh it. There's the usual things. We're streaming from StreamYard to Vimeo into Swapcard. No sound, someone's saying. Is that
Really?
the same for everyone? Everyone here? Is there anyone else having no sound? Let's see. Let's just check we got sound.
I can hear you well.
Yeah, well, we can hear each other. I can hear everything. Great. All right, that's good. All right, well, let's kick off with this session, and over to you, Mate.
Yeah, thanks, James. What a cool intro that was. Already missed the live events and face-to-face meetings, but yeah, here we are. Thanks for coming, and also thank you very much for having me here. So today we're going to kick it off with a creative framework I'm using these days, and everything these days is labeled as a post-IDFA activity or in the post-IDFA world. So quick note about myself. I've been in the industry for 9 years already. Time flies. And I'm based in Slovakia, and I'm from Slovakia originally. Started my career in Pixel Federation. Then I was there for 5 years, heading the mobile marketing part, and was responsible for soft launching and global launching all our games. And then I moved to one other agency. I was there for a year and a half or a year and something, and then now I'm just independently consulting with several developers around the world. It's been a really nice ride, and I'm happy to be in this place. But we are now here for talking about the creative and the creative framework I use. This is the agenda for today. So something about how I approach the creatives, how we test creatives in the post-IDFA world, how to understand the target audience, and then I want to give you some inspirations and where to get the inspiration for creative production and some useful tips and takeaways at the end. So definitely there will be a room for Q&A session, and I will be happy to answer all the questions you might have. Okay, so let's start. So what is the creative process I use these days? It's actually pretty straightforward. I always try to start with a competitor analysis, either on Facebook or Mobile Action or any other tool, or looking into the creative history and then trying to understand what creatives worked before, what didn't, and taking these insights from competitor analysis and creative audit basically to brainstorming session. In the brainstorming session, always you're trying to sit down with the motion designers and the whole creative team and brainstorm the ideas, obviously. After the brainstorming session, what is really important to have is the creative brief, which consists of all the concepts that we brainstormed, and it can be written or in a visual form in terms of the storyboard. After this, it's usually again trying to communicate this with the game team, or well, if you're an agency or a freelancer or independent consultant, then trying to get approval from the game studio you're working with, and then choosing the ideas, which of these ideas we actually brainstorm are going to work, and then we produce. We come to the creative production and then start testing it on the various UA channels. My go-to channel for testing is Facebook. But I've tested creatives before on Wangle or Unity or any other UA channel. Basically up to you guys, but I prefer Facebook for the creative testing. And then there comes the evaluation, which is the most important part. And we want to know which creative is actually winning in the testing, and then taking these learnings to the brainstorming again, and then iterating the winner, or try to come up with some other ideas. As I mentioned, I'm using for ad intelligence or the competitor analysis, usually Facebook, and then Facebook ad library or mobile action, which is a tool that helps me cover not only Facebook but also on all other UA channels for the competition. And yeah, how does it look like in terms of the checking the competition? I'm pretty sure you've seen these multiple times. Honestly, this one, the Cook the Lobster, failed miserably, but we can talk about that later on. In terms of the brainstorming, these days it's kind of hard to organize a brainstorming session since COVID-19 happened, and we are mostly working remotely. But given the fact that we are actually, we need to brainstorm the new ideas, we are using Google Drawings, which is a really nice tool from Google that helps you organize everybody in the one place. You can write notes, so you can do whatever you want in the Google Drawings, and also it actually helped me understand the games and the concepts a little bit better. Is one tip, which is bringing the game designers or product managers into the brainstorming session, because they can give you a slightly different perspective of creatives and the audience and what players want to see, or not only players but also game designers, what they want to see as a creative concept. So this is something that helps really nicely unpack a lot of concepts that you might have missed. In terms of the creative and testing, I also mentioned already I'm using Facebook, but you can use whatever you want, whatever you like. But these are like 3 steps or 3 testing methodologies I've used before. The first one is the looking at IPM only, so installs per 1,000 impressions. Using mobile app install optimization in tier 4 countries. Usually try to use India, and India, because the CPIs are super low and the market is really big. You might argue that this is India and this is definitely way different and can be way different. The result can be very different from the US or any other tier 1 market. That's why I ran multiple tests before, and actually US versus India, we always saw the same creative winner. So why not to just save money and test it out in India? But again, taking the winners from the tier 4 creative testing, and then putting all of these based on the highest IPM into the business as usual campaigns. This is one testing framework. Then we can use multi-step, which obviously takes more time and more money, but can be used to just evaluate again if the winner is the same winner in the tier 1. But in this case, we are using the winner and putting it into the tier 1 campaign and using the app event optimization, because what I've seen before, mobile app installs versus app event optimized campaigns, or even versus value optimized campaigns, you can have very different results in terms of the creative winners. So in this case, you can just evaluate or confirm again if this winner is the winner in the tier 1 app event optimizer purchase campaign, and then move the winner into the business as usual. Or my favorite, the easiest, using value optimization. Well, easiest for me, using value optimization on the worldwide campaign, and putting each a new creative into the ad set, and then running alongside the previous creative winners to see if the new creative is actually outperforming the old ones. So yeah, in this case, winner, we are taking it into the business as usual. And again, I mean, evaluation is the most important part. You need to be able to actually evaluate the creatives, or well, the concepts on the creative level. With the AAA campaigns and the automated ads campaigns, it's a little bit harder. So that's why I'm mainly using the regular ads or the old campaign type to be able to evaluate if the creative is actually performing well. And I'm always looking into not only IPMs but also ROAS and revenue, because well, that's the most important part anyway, even in the creative testing. And obviously, repeat for glory, right? This is not a one-time activity. This is a vicious circle that you need to do all over again just to get the creative winners. And not always you are able to get the creative winner. I mean, there's a very high chance you will see new creatives underperforming the old ones, and it's happening really frequently. But you need to repeat that and try to find the winner. And how does it actually look like from the real life? So this is the creative framework I use, and these are the creatives that were produced with this framework in mind.
What's up, buddy? Johnny Sins here. I heard you need some motivation with chicks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay, there you go. That was a small break for me as well. All right, so let's get back to the actual presentation. Those creatives, I hope we smiled a little bit, because definitely focus on a little bit of a craziness. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, or let's dive into how I try to test the creatives in this post IDFA world. Well, honestly, testing like even before the IDFA apocalypse happened, it was always like really iOS testing was more expensive. And I could see the high CPIs almost on every UA channel. So even when I was testing the same creatives on Android and then testing it on iOS, I could see the same winner. So I thought like, okay, so why should I even care about testing the creatives on iOS? You can argue like iOS is slightly different audience than Android, but yeah, like how is that actually different from the iOS 14 perspective? Yeah, well, not that many things changed actually. It's still super expensive. The high CPIs are still the case, and now even the evaluation of the campaigns or the creative test is almost impossible. It's not impossible completely, but it's definitely really hard to actually measure which creative is performing well, at least on Facebook right away. So, and again, I'm coming back to the fact that I'm using this Facebook for testing purposes. So the thing is, if you were able to see the same creative winner on Android and iOS before these IDFA shenanigans happened, that just don't bother with using iOS 14 as a creative test. Just use Android and try to spend efficiently, because if what I've found, the creative winner is a winner on Android, on iOS, it's a winner on Facebook, on almost all the ad networks. So use your money wisely and try to obviously get inspired by the testing I've mentioned before, but use your own methodology where it makes sense. So yeah, let's go to the understanding of the target audience. This is really important. So how can you actually understand what's happening and who is your target audience? I mean, this is from old Facebook audience insights, and this is for one mid-core game I managed before. And the fun fact is, well, you don't need to look only on the competition and the video games and mobile games, but also on the other interests as well. And what I found out, for example, here, I found out that our target audience like Rick and Morty, and we found out also there is a Family Guy interest here and there. So we felt like, okay, so this is actually pretty good insight that we can use in the creatives, because obviously if we use a humor and this like very specific Rick and Morty humor, that's going to work on our game. Also, you can use or you could use the page likes to see the competition as well. But also not only on Facebook, that you can very easily check the similar apps on Google Play or even on iOS. It's something that I'm looking always in when I'm trying to do the competitor research. But yeah, so this taking this humor, let's say, and using it in the creatives. How does that look like? Yeah, I mean, it's super easy, really straightforward. And then we saw a really nice community feedback. A lot of our players actually love this creative, and not only this one, but also this one. And again, this is coming back to the Rick and Morty humor. Yeah, you can see how everybody's actually loving the creative, and we could see that on the numbers right away, decreasing the CPI is almost immediately by at least like 50%. That's not the only angle you can use. You can also look at your game and the villains in the game and try to do a little bit of communication with him.
One hero's no problem for me, but they are like earthworms. From one they always split into two, and at the end there is a bunch of them. They look all same to me, and every time I met them, they bring new shiny stuff. Also, I don't know why, they have some new glowy bits around. Oh, here they come. Got to return to my position.
Yes, this is quite old creative, but still pretty good inspiration to look at, because I try to use this almost every time we are having this type of game. Again, yeah, let's dive into the inspiration. And again, like I mentioned, the competitor analysis, and I think you could easily see, or maybe not, because you're not doing the competitor analysis for Battle Legion as I did. This was inspired by one of our competitors. It was Art of War, and it was a very similar concept, but this one actually failed miserably, and we didn't know like what happened, and then we realized like, okay, so this is definitely way different expectations from what you see when you land into the store. But then these two, we got inspired by, again, our competitor, but this one actually worked quite well. Asking the question and then showing the gameplay, even though it's not quite real gameplay, but still can work pretty well. Also the same thing here. Trying to get the inspiration and then the iterations, iterating the winners. This is how it can look like, actually. Yeah. Also, like, you don't need to do it also already on the video side of things. Just can do pretty nice iterations on static images as well. And this is something that we started doing when COVID hit our lives, which was quite some time ago. But we asked the question, like, what is your favorite quarantine snack? And in the comment section, we could see basically almost always it was salad or pizza. So then we tried to iterate or like bring a very different concept, or not different, but similar concept, and see if the pizza or any other meal is actually, again, commented or like getting picked by the players. Then again, we could see either salad or pizza or burger. So then we found out, okay, so should we try to use, again, an iteration of this and try to ask like, okay, so do you prefer junk food or healthy food? And this was the last one static image was actually the best performer out of all of these three. But this, you can see the evolution of the concept right here. Started with quarantine snacks, then moved to restaurant food, and then asking a question: do you prefer junk food or healthy food? This is something that you can get inspired by, current situation and what's actually happening around us. But also, this is something that I'm doing quite frequently, and getting inspired by hypercasual games, and a lot of other companies started doing it, and you can see right here two concepts. And if we were live, I would ask, okay, so do you know what was the inspiration for these two? But then, next time when I'm face to face in Berlin. So yeah, I suppose you already know this was inspired by ASMR Slicing, the game that was launched by Tricky Tribe, or I think published by one Hypercasual publisher, and it was a great hit right away. It was top 1 in US. And we could see Coin Master cutting the coins, and actually they iterated on quite heavily on this concept. So that's why we used it for our cooking game, and we were slicing the tomato. But what I now started doing a little bit more, even, it's basically taking a look at the hypercasual games that are ranking in the top 10, and then adapting those games into the gameplay of the game I manage. So in here you have the Tangle Master 3D, which obviously everybody knows. everybody knows it's just very easy gameplay, and you could immediately see what's going on. So I thought everybody's just talking about personas these days, but it's not only about personas, but also after the IDFA happened, you need to have a really broad audience to get into your game. And how broader can you go if you use the hypercasuals, right? So this is something I tried to use for the Panzer, and it started working immediately really well. Same thing here. I mean, we discussed in the for Battle Legion in our Slack channel that how about using actually mass battles, even though it's a slightly fake gameplay, but still not that fake, and we are actually using the units from the game, but it was inspired by the Crowd City again, like this. This was something that was really popular and hit the top 10 back in days. Again, it's always about trying to find what works for your game as well and adapt it to the gameplay. I know like this is pretty chaotic, but this is actually something that works super well for our target audience. So you can get inspired by the hypercasuals. It's not only about the noob versus pro anymore, although noob versus pro had pretty nice results back in days, and it was almost everywhere. But yeah, let's try to use it a little bit wisely. And also you can get inspired by memes and hypes, which is around us. I know this is the hilt shirt that was a creative that was produced around the Witcher series that happened on Netflix. There is the character which is called Hilt, and it's in the Almost a Hero game. So we just tried to adapt it to the Hilcher series, and then immediately saw a pretty nice bump in terms of the results. There's the Wilson from the movie. We can see a lot of other memes, the Drake one and Babushka as well. So this is something that you can use for your ideas and your concepts, and bring this into the brainstorming session. Okay. Slowly coming to the end of the presentation. So let's run through some useful tips and some takeaways, and then we can discuss everything that you heard. I think what is really important to have in your creative team, or in your marketing team, is an idea maker who is owning the whole creative process. I mean, obviously not every time you can have one, but if you can, then definitely hire one, because this guy or this girl organizes and moderates the brainstorming session. This is someone who prepares the creative briefs and doing the creative research and trying to help the UA team to evaluate the creative winners and coming up with the creative the winner iterations. So this is a person who is between the creative team and the motion designers, and then between the UA team. Obviously, this can be a UA person as well, but it can a UA person or UA manager is always head deep in the data, and this should be definitely a new person that owns the whole creative process. And as I mentioned before, like the focus on the creative brief should be definitely a big one, because it's essential for the creative production. It should be very easy to understand. If someone reads the creative brief, you need to be immediately able to understand what's going on. It can be in the written form, or in the form of a storyboard. It should be really detailed. So if you see on the right hand side the noob versus pro creative brief, what's missing there? It's really not detailed as much, and I can visualize this very differently than any of my colleagues on the creative team. So let's see. This is how it should be. I mean, how it should look like, because you have everything is happening in the video, we have written here. So obviously, if you have a different size or resolution, in the text boxes are slightly differently placed, but still, if you read this, you can imagine exactly how it should look like. I mean, obviously, if you put the storyboard, then everybody is on the same page, but it's not necessary every time. But then in here as well, I mean, you could see what's going on in this video. So yeah, that's creative brief. That's really important. And in here, these are some best practices. Well, something that works for me. So test it out on your side and do your own homework. But this is Google UAC. If you want to do or if you want to get an inventory on YouTube, use landscape format and 30+ second video, something that's long form. On Facebook, again, something else. The 4 to 5 format. Really important first second of the video just to grab the attention. Usually gameplay-ish, connected with some motion design or some other effects. Usually anything between 15 to 22 seconds. For Instagram, it should be actually even shorter than 15 seconds to get more impressions. And on ad networks works well for me. Again, it's playables or video plus playables. It shows the game mechanics and the gameplay, and it's obviously like between 15 to 30 seconds. Usually 15 works or slightly better, and then connecting it to the playable. And if you are thinking about like iterating the winner, these are some things that you can think about. It's first 5 seconds, thinking about navigating hand or music or zoom levels or the CTAs or the call to actions, different lengths, different orientations, obviously, and then trying to make a different end or sound. This is something really that actually can help even improve the performance of the winner. What can happen is that you create a winner and then you iterate, and then all the iterations are going to underperform and not even match the creative winner performance. This can happen, so count with it. Let's talk about some do's and don'ts. I always do a competitor research. Obviously, I mentioned it multiple times. Testing crazy ideas. I love crazy creatives because that's something that grabs attention right away. Should showcase the humor because we are people after all, and we like to laugh. So why not to use it in the creatives? Try to get an inspiration from or by different genres, like I mentioned, hypercasuals. And don't forget to understand the target audience, because if you don't know who are you building for your creatives, then it's going to be kind of hard to find the creative winner. But on the other hand, don't try to copy the competitor ads one-to-one. Not always what works for your competition is going to work for you, because you don't know what's behind the whole creative production, and that's always connected to the creatives, not aligned with the App Store. So if you're using a fake ads, then you're creating a very different expectations from the players. So if they land into your App Store, then and they see something else, they will probably churn right away. And in my book, you should be always doing the creative refresh more often than once a month, ideally once a week or once every 10 days-ish. You definitely shouldn't skip the creative briefs, because that's something that is really important in the creative production. And all the key takeaways I have here, which is work together with your marketing team or creative team versus the UA team and the game team as well. try to find your own testing framework. I mentioned free, but always, do your own homework and try to find what works for you the best. And know your target audience and do your homework there as well, and have the creative brief so you can get inspired as well from the different genres. And that's it. That's it. Thank you. And we have 5 more minutes, hopefully, for any questions. Hey, James, welcome back.
And hi, Matej. That was great. So lankarik.me is where we'll find. I think we're going to paste the original article that you wrote that inspired this talk in the chat as well. Because I think you published a lot. Let's get into the questions because we've got a couple. So Natalia from Advasoft, she's a product marketing manager. She's asking, what was the best CPI for iOS you had?
Well, it's a very broad question. CPI on which country and which UA channel. But let's say right now in the US on Facebook for purchase campaigns for one mid-core game, it was last month, it was $1.50 for again US iOS 14 campaigns and purchase optimization. Okay. If you want to know the real CPI.
Okay, great. And Natalie, who is a growth product manager at Weatherbug, hello Natalie, good to see you again. She is asking, what are the tools you mentioned for the competitor analysis at the start?
Yeah, it was mobileaction.co.
Oh, yeah. Mobile Action, you got that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Mobile Action. Okay. And there was another question from Arthur Chin, and he is UA lead Snowprint Studios. Hopefully not one of your competitors.
No, he's my friend.
He's your friend. Well, that's good.
Yeah, of course.
Nice to see you, Arthur. He says, have you migrated or recommend creative testing to take place mostly on Android and then use the results to influence business as usual iOS campaigns?
Yeah, I've done that because I've seen the same results or same creative winners on iOS. Back in days when we were able to evaluate properly. But again, like I said, a creative winner is winner everywhere. So I do the creative testing on Android, then taking the winners and applying them on the iOS campaigns, business as usual. It kind of works. At least it worked for me.
Arthur says, hey, I do wonder, is that for games that could work if you had a different type of app? Education.
Same thing. Yeah, I think it's the same thing for apps as well. I've managed some apps before, and the results or the whole framework was the same basically I used. So shouldn't be any difference between apps or games, even though this was mainly based on the game experiences.
Got it. Okay, I think we've just got enough time for Ole's question, which is, what are your key learnings from Google App Campaigns? I know you did talk to that briefly, but any final points on that?
Well, in terms of the long form format, that's something that works for me very well, even with the landscape format. But what I've heard also from others is that landscape can unlock the YouTube inventory, but produces really high amount of spend with low ROAS. And if that happens, then everybody's just moving to portrait videos, which again unlocks the YouTube inventory, and then can have slightly lower scale, but definitely better ROAS. So that's on something that I'm thinking of while running the Google Ads and UAC.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Matej, for joining us. That was great. I hope we can have you maybe see you next year in Berlin, or maybe in London in March, if hopefully they let you out your house.
Nice, yeah. So. That would be amazing.
I hope you have a good Christmas in Slovakia, even though you can't probably do anything. But yeah. Hopefully they open up.
Can't do much. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But all right. Well, I really appreciate you joining us today. It was a great session, and really good. And we've posted your blog post there for anyone that wants to follow you. So thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me again. All right. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.